Hey everybody, Ben Frederickson here, alongside my columnist colleague Jeff Gordon for another episode of Inside Pitch here at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Gordo, we got some fireworks to talk about. Just for full disclosure, we are recording this entering the Cardinals' final series game against Philadelphia after Bryce Harper takes a pitch to the face by Cardinals reliever Genesis Cabrera, who, because of the three-batter minimum, was not allowed to be removed from the game, accidentally hits the next batter too. And there's all kinds of beef now between the Cardinals and the Phillies. Joe Girardi's mad. There could be some more fireworks in today's game. But Gordo, let's talk about this from the Cardinals' perspective. The good news, Bryce Harper says for Instagram, he's good to go, checked out miraculously. He's got a cut, that's it. So thank God for that. But the Cardinals need Genesis Cabrera to be a key reliever. He's not some wild cannon. He's hit like 8 guys, I think, since in the 240 he's faced since he was brought to the majors. They need him to get over this and lock back in, and he was a little shaken. What do you think they can expect from him moving forward? Because this is a key part of their bullpen.
Man, this is a test for anybody who goes through this sort of thing. You really don't know. He's still such a young guy. He's trying to gain his maturity. He's made a lot of progress. As Mike Schultz said, he's really grown as a pitcher. He's not nearly the wild thrower. He's more of a pitcher. But, man, he could have killed the guy. He could have killed Bryce Harper. I mean, not being overly dramatic here, he could have killed the guy. And obviously he was shaken. And then he hits Didi in the ribs, and now Didi's hurt as well. So it's like, oh, man, how do you overcome that? Well, either you do or you don't. I mean, on the flip side, Daniel Ponce de Leon had to overcome a horrible episode, and he has. But it's just as hard when you hit someone. So especially as something could have been that dangerous. So he needs to settle down, mature, and be a big part of this team. They're counting heavily on this bullpen. And even with a 17-game stretch, they can't afford to have him go AWOL psychologically after that incident.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw anybody who thought it might have been intentional could just see his reaction where clearly he was out of it for the next couple batters. And Schultz said after the game, for those who didn't hear, I would have pulled him after he hit Harper, but I can't. The 3-batter minimum actually stops him from removing Cabrera from that game. I know Tony La Russa used to talk about, hey, if a guy hits somebody up above the shoulders, he's out. To prove that I don't want anything to do with it. And Schultz said the same thing. If his control was off that much, I don't want him in there. But you can't. The rule allows no wiggle room for guys who don't have control. And that's part of the problem with the 3-batter minimum, as we heard everybody say after the game. So we'll see how the Phillies decide to interpret that and if they want to retaliate. And who knows, this is the last time these two teams will face each other in the regular season, which maybe that's a good thing depending on how things have played out here. The Cardinals are hitting too many batters, and that's going to be a part of the storyline here. Some of their guys are pitching in a little too close, and that's going to be a trend that builds. The more guys get hit, the more people are going to be talking about the Cardinals hitting people. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on here. On the flip side, Gordo, another positive development for the Cardinals, Carlos Martinez is starting to click, and he's looking good. He's starting to be a part of this important star turn of the rotation. I didn't know that he had this in him, but he's sure proving that he can be that guy. As he says, the tsunami is coming. I got to take my cap off to Carlos. Now let's see it sustain, but he's proven me wrong. I didn't know that he had quality starts like this left in him.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an unbelievable journey for the man. And, he switched to the bullpen to help the team and also because he needed to do more in the rotation when he was in there. Then obviously COVID hits and he comes back and he's not the same guy. Can't repeat his mechanics, ends up just a mess and injured. 2020 becomes a wash. He comes into this year, again, so much to prove. Tried to put the work in, coming in to prove that he could be a starter. We're all skeptical. Man hadn't won a game since, July 7th? What was that, 2018, was it?
Correct.
That's a long time ago. Like 300-plus guys have won a game since then in the majors. So it's, he showed some signs of maturity in that game. He wanted to stay in, but when he couldn't, he went around and thanked his infielders, came off, acknowledged the fans, looked mature, handling the whole situation, has looked, except for 2 innings, very good on the mound. So all you got to do to know about Carlos and think about potential is check his career earned run average. I mean, through all of the adventure and the injuries and all the misadventure, been a pretty good pitcher when he's been healthy. And so could this be great news for the Cardinals? Sure.
Love to see him face some adversity and some errors and overcome them. Sometimes it's one thing that derails a start for him, but he proved he could come back and he needs to keep proving that. Oviedo looks pretty good as a spot starter. But let's also talk here at the end about Paul DeJong, Cardinal shortstop. He got a day off in this series finale against the Phillies with a rare start for Edmundo Sosa at shortstop. He's in a bit of a cold stretch. I think he's 0 for his last 7. It's been 8 or so games since he had that 2-homer game. What do you make of where Paul DeJong is? And is this just going to be the season that he's going to have? Kind of a streaky home run or bust guy is okay to have hitting 6th or 7th, but with Yadier Molina out, they've got him up around 5, and that's creating a bit of a gulch there.
It's a tough spot. I mean, he is the new true outcome poster boy, with Matt Carpenter being more of a part-time player now and relegated to mostly pinch hitting. The walks are nice, and you heard about that, with Matt when he wasn't hitting, and the occasional walk, sure, that's helpful. But man, the hope for Paul DeJong for some time now has been that he could grow into a middle of the order hitter, and at times he's been able to show that. But I think at this point we have to accept the fact that he's a steady fielder who can hit some home runs. And we've talked about it before. He's been overhyped and I think misused by a team hoping that he could be somebody that he's not. At this point, he's a good player who'll hit some home runs, a good fielder. So they're going to need to find some other guys. Man, Fred, they gotta find some beef for this lineup. Tyler O'Neill, okay, showing signs of doing it. Let's see if he keeps it up. But boy, with him striking out and not getting too many hits, this lineup again falls off pretty quickly.
Keep an eye on Andrew Kisner. Maybe he can show some of that pop that can put him in a key lineup spot while Molina is out. Big chance for Kisner here, both defensively and offensively. You're always one play away, and he's found that out here as he gets a chance to kind of maybe alter that discussion about, hey, Herrera is the next guy. Kisner could say, hey, wait a second. I'm here right now, and I'm ready to roll. So we'll see what he can do with this opportunity. Gordo, good stuff, man. We will catch up next week, and keep it locked at stltoday.com, everybody, for all of your Cardinals coverage and more episodes in future weeks of Inside Pitch.